Good day. Last week we had a bit of a chat on how do I get started on monitoring my fax numbers and statistics. Now last week I basically said that you just need to start capturing data. Now today we need to look at step 2. Now you've got some data, you need to look at it and see what's going on with your data at the end of it. So the next step after being able to capture the data is visualizing your data. You need to see your data. A lot of the things we don't know is just because we don't actually see the data. I know how much I spend on my telephone calls in a month because I see the bill, but I don't know what I spend it on. And that's why I start recording my phone calls and putting down what I phoned, who I phoned, why I phoned, and all that type of information. That's where the data starts coming in. Now, to visualize your data, you need to do certain things to it. The biggest problem with data is that there's usually so much of it that you can't really, given 3, 4, 5 pages full of phone calls, is not valuable looking at just like that. So the first step you need to do is categorize the data, group it together, put the relevant data with the relevant data. As an example, for telephone calls. If I make telephone calls, it's easy to differentiate, was it a private call, was it a business call? But now one step further, when it was a business call, which customer did I call? Was it a support call? Did I call them for sales? Did I call them for training? What was the purpose of the call? So I need to start categorizing the data into logical groups. For transport, for instance, I can record how far I went, look at the odometer, see I went there, came back, but where did I go? What was the purpose of the trip? Which customer did I visit while I was on that trip? I need to categorize all those things together. That makes the data much more manageable because now instead of working with 1,000 lines of data, I work with 7 or 8 categories of data, each with a count in it or a volume or a cost. So that's much easier to work with the data. The next thing you need to do now that you've got all the categories of data is start combining data that usually doesn't look relevant. So if I've got telephone calls and I can measure and see who I made the phone calls to, which customers did I call, I can do the same with my transport. So I can see which customers I visited. Now I can combine it on category level because if I now look at what's my cost to a specific customer or what time did I spend on a specific customer, all of a sudden I can put my transport and my phone calls together against a specific customer and get much more valuable information out of that. So combining your different types of data can give you much more valuable data or valuable information at the end of it. The last thing that you need to do is to represent that in some way that means something to you. Either a pie chart, what did I spend more money on than something else, or more time on, a line chart showing me what my trend is in something, just putting it in a table showing me exactly which one compares to which one, as we've discussed in the previous session. I need to be able to see my data. Seeing your data is 90% of understanding what's going on in your fax numbers and statistics. Now, once you've seen your data, you've got a couple of questions to ask yourself. The first one is, do I have enough detail in my data? So I've recorded my phone calls, but did I record which customer I phoned? Did I record if it was a sales or a support phone call? If I don't record that data, obviously I can't categorize using that. It's never too late to change your data or to add to your data. So what you need to do, the first question you need to ask yourself is, do I need more detail? And if you find that you need more detail, add it the next time you capture your data. The next thing you need to ask yourself is, am I actually recording all the data that I need? Is there missing data in this? So if I'm recording my transport and everything like that, but I never record the telephone calls, then I can't really combine the two at the end of it. So I might look at the data and say there's a gap in this, there's some data I'm not recording, so I need to add this into this. So my challenge for you this week forward is have a look at your data, start visualizing your data, start seeing your data, and once you see it, adapt and change the way you capture your data and the level of detail that you capture in your data. you.